Hey guys, back with another video. This video is an update about the lady Kelli Bryant in Detroit that left her three kids abandoned for 4 years in the home alone. I have basically an update to the story. She was seen in court again, and also the home they're saying was being rented illegally because it wasn't registered with the city or anything like that. So let's get into it. This could be possible lawsuit if she wasn't a deadbeat mother, but maybe the dad probably can file some type of lawsuit or something. I don't know, because they were illegally renting this property and it shouldn't have been being rented. So like all that money he got from that property, he should have to pay it back, and that money should go to those kids. So let's get into it.
Very tough, both physically, to go into this apartment here where these three kids lived for nearly 5 years in just deplorable conditions. Feces all over the place, garbage piled high, the toilets overrunning. It's just disgusting even thinking about it. And just the fact that someone had to go in there and clean it. It's the emotional toll. But let me introduce you to Kiera Mills and her North Cleaning Service and how she was the one that went in there. Take a look.
As I was walking down the crazy stairs with all the feces, like going to the basement, it was makeup smear. I had to stop, and I was looking, and then I looked around, and I'm like I visualized whoever, it was a kid that did this. They were screaming for help.
32-year-old Kiera Mills, who owns North Cleaning Service, had to clean this Pontiac apartment in which 3 kids lived in for nearly 5 years with no parental supervision, barely enough food, and whose mother is now facing child abuse charges. You knew what you were getting into. I mean, this was a bad house.
This bad? That's not even the word.
Kiera remembers last Saturday when she got the call to clean the place.
Me? So all night I couldn't sleep. I'm telling my kids, I have 5 by the way. I'm telling my kids, I'm like, you guys, do you guys remember? They like, yeah. I'm like, I have to go clean that house.
It took Kiera and her uncle nearly 8 hours to clean it.
I went over the walls with all the feces on the walls. I went over the walls at least about 10 times. No over-exaggeration, because I had to use SOS pad that I was scraping the paint off.
Kiera didn't say how much she got paid, but it wasn't much. And the house is still not ready to move into. Would you live in that house now after you cleaned it?
No. And I have a good cleaning services, and I still wouldn't. The floor has to get gutted out. The memories that's holding in that house, I will forever think about it.
The emotional toll just going into this house where those 3 kids lived for years is really unthinkable. You can see over here, there is still a cease and desist sticker on the home from the Pontiac Building Department, meaning that by law, nobody can live into this house. All the appliances had to be taken out. The floor still needs fixing. There's still plenty to do over here. Now, a little update on the mother, who's in the Oakland County Jail right now on a $250 million bond, facing 3 counts of felony child abuse. She'll be in court on March 4th. That's the next time she'll be in court. And as far as Kiera Mills, the person that had to clean this place, well, apparently she's one of the most popular cleaners around. She posted a little bit on Facebook, and she's got about a couple of million views. And she says she's booked up for weeks into the future. I am live, and I'm in Pontiac. I'll send it back to you.
Well, Charlie, with those conditions, we know that some county workers even had to use hazmat suits to go in there and bring things out. Why wasn't the place condemned? And do we even know how the health of the children at this point, how they're doing?
Well, a couple things. First of all, the hazmat from the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, they went in there with hazmats. Kiera actually went in there. She said that she had all kinds of masks and things. We saw a little video there, but she was it was very difficult for her. She had a bunch of gloves and things when she was in there as well. So that's one thing. As far as the kids are safe right now. They're living with family members, and we understand that they are okay, at least physically okay. Mentally, we just don't know. I sense that we'll get a little more information information about the mother and the relationship and just what happened at this place at the preliminary exam, which probably, it's set for the end of March. I have a feeling it's going to be adjourned. It's the first time up. But again, there's still a lot more questions to be answered about why a mother could do this, and not 1, 2, 3 years, but almost 5 years here, dropping food off and then and just abandoning these kids. Right. It's almost unthinkable. But to get in there, I don't know. Kira, I don't know. She's got to be something special to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll follow the story for sure.
Well, and what we saw and what we heard happen in there, it seems like that place does need to be condemned or at least taken down to the studs and renovated, because it'll be interesting to see who would want to live in that place after that. Charlie, thanks.
New revelations in that disturbing child abandonment case in Pontiac. City leaders now addressing why the property where children were left alone was overlooked for years. Welcome to CBS News Detroit at 5. I'm Alicia Bergio.
And I'm Meredith Bruckner. City leaders now say the home the family lived in was never registered as a rental property with the city. CBS News Detroit's Elaine Rojas Castillo joins us now from Lydia Lane in Pontiac with the details.
We're concerned as a community. We're concerned, I think, as a region, to make sure that this devastating situation doesn't happen to others, that others don't have to suffer.
With the city of Pontiac requiring all properties to be registered as either homesteads or rental properties, city leaders say the property on the 600 block of Lydia Lane, where the 3 children were abandoned by their mother, wasn't on the list.
The city requires that a rental property must be registered, and there are fines if that is being rented out and they aren't registered and getting inspected.
Because the city's rental property registry didn't have a record of the home, with public listings showing the home as a 0% homestead, which means the owner wasn't using it as their primary residence, Council President Mike McGinnis says the unit was being unlawfully rented out, and as a result wasn't subject to inspections. With registered homes subject to review every 3 years, the hope is that this may have been caught sooner.
There's a lot of different steps here that we want to make sure we can safeguard to make sure that there are less vulnerabilities to the system for vulnerable children and vulnerable neighbors, so that way this doesn't happen again.
Real estate broker Annette Campo says one way to do that is by having the city do a thorough check of all of its registered properties and follow up with the ones that aren't up to date.
Maybe that's one of the problems that the city of Pontiac needs to maybe look at and say, hey, maybe we should be auditing our homestead exemptions.
Campo says this situation should push cities and municipalities in the area to reevaluate how they are educating landlords and how to properly rent out their properties.
You need to be educated. You need to understand and do your due diligence as to what this responsibility that you have. Just throwing a for rent sign up in your window is not enough.
City council leaders say they plan to discuss the ordinances further at their upcoming meeting on March 4th. In Pontiac, Elaine Rojas Castillo, CBS News Detroit.
So that's a good question that everybody was asking as to why nobody knew that the kids was there. Wasn't supposed to be routine inspections and stuff like that. Well, that's why, because nobody knew that this unit was being rented out to anyone. So there y'all have it. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button, and feel free to join and get a membership. Bye.
Calling People versus Kelli Marie Bryant. Ms. Bryant, can you state your name for the record, please?
Kelli Bryant.
Okay. This is the time and date set for a probable cause conference on the 3 counts of first-degree child abuse.
I had extensive conversations with Ms. Bryant as well as with Ms. Ferenczi. At this time, I'm in receipt of, I want to call it partial discovery. I have the written initial police report, which is, there's apparently a supplement that will be available for me today. And also I have the children's interviews. I was provided with those yesterday. I don't have anything else. There are terabytes of electronic discovery that is going to be provided to me on the external hard drive that I provided to the prosecutor's office. So we're asking you to adjourn the probable cause conference so we can have all the discovery. I think it's paramount in this case, Your Honor.
The defense did file a couple of motions. One was a motion to restrain pretrial publicity. Any comment from either side as to that?
The issue I'm having is that the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office disseminated information that really is confidential information that they have had me sign a protective order for before I could receive it, which included the children's interview. They also requested initially that I sign an agreement to not disseminate anything of discovery nature to anyone, including my end. And I declined to sign that. But so they've asked me basically to not talk about this case or share it with anyone. But at the same time, as saying that this is in the public interest. I don't think it's in the public interest to disseminate evidence that hasn't been admitted into court. And I don't think it's in the children's interest to disseminate any of that. So I don't see any public interest in the prosecutor's office continuing to hold press conferences and talk about this case. And, included in the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, which, many of those deputies and detectives are assigned to this case. They're witnesses in this case. I was especially disturbed by the fact that what looks to be a body cam from one of the deputies that were in the home has been disseminated all over social media before we've even had any kind of court proceeding. So I do think it's a proper motion. I'm asking that you grant it.
I do want to be clear. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald held one press conference on February 19, 2025, after Ms. Bryant was formally charged. In that press conference, Prosecutor McDonald confined her statements to the already public information from the square to that morning. And Your Honor, I do believe that a gag order would prevent the prosecutor the ability to correct any sort of misinformation.
A gag order, in this court's opinion, would be inconsistent with law, Michigan rules of professional conduct, and the public interest. The Michigan rules of professional conduct do provide guidance in this area, and those rules do permit a prosecutor to make statements that are necessary to inform the public of the nature and extent of the prosecutor's action and that serve a legitimate law enforcement purpose. So while this court will not be imposing a gag order, I'm simply instructing the parties to comply with Michigan rules of professional conduct and court rules during the pendency of this case. But should there come a point, while this case is within the jurisdiction of the district court, where there's a massive, pervasive, and prejudicial round of publicity, this court will review the issue and make the appropriate determination at that time. At present, defendant's motion to restrain pretrial publicity is denied. The defendant has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse, which carries a maximum penalty of life. The defendant is still, however, presumed innocent until proven guilty, and that brings us to defendant's next motion, which was a motion for reasonable bond. The court is willing to do an evaluation of appropriate pretrial release conditions. If both parties are available, I am willing to do that on Friday so we don't have an unnecessary delay. Will this Friday at noon work for both parties?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
That will be on at noon, and that will be the motion for a reasonable bond. We'll set the adjourned probable cause conference to Tuesday, April 15th.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're all set. Bond is continued.